This is KLBK News at 10.
July 15th, 2021 is now a date that has been indelibly marked into, most important, the Bartlett family, the sheriff's office, but also the Lubbock and Levelland communities. The loss of Josh has created a void that will never be filled for everyone who knew and loved him because of the senseless and inexplicable actions of a despicable individual that decent words cannot describe.
But Josh, he died doing exactly what he loved to do. Not many people get to do that.
Lubbock SO, all units, 8840 to 1042. End of watch, July 15th, 2021. Thank you for your service. May you rest in peace. We will take it from here. Godspeed, brother. Lubbock SO clear.
A fallen hero's last ride as the South Plains community mourns the loss of one of our own first responders who died doing what he so loved. Good evening, everybody. I'm Matt Still.
I'm Terry Furman. Trinity Church is usually home to Sunday services, Bible studies, youth groups, but today it served as the venue for the celebration of life for Sergeant Joshua Blake Bartlett, and that was cut way too short.
Dozens of people arriving at Trinity as early as 2 hours before the service. There wasn't a dry eye in the packed sanctuary, with friends, family, fellow brothers and sisters in blue all gathering to remember the man that they affectionately knew as Soap.
Zachary and his fiancee Logan, who are building a home, had a special gathering at their home where they were going to write down scripture promises on the studs, the 2x4s of the home that was being framed. Sergeant Bartlett, that very morning, wrote on a piece of wood, and I'm holding it up here. And on that piece of wood, he wrote an old Irish blessing. I want to read it to you. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hands.
Sergeant Bartlett leaves behind a wife, Rebecca, his 3 sons, Zachary, Logan, and Christian, his parents, Mike and Frida, and a host of unofficial sons and daughters who over the years adopted him as their dad.
The support for Sergeant Bartlett overwhelmingly, especially from his brothers and sisters in law enforcement, coming from all across the country today. KLBK's Brenda Lipinski talked with some of them as they paid their respects.
Cars filling the parking lot and flags waving high at Trinity Church, all for Sergeant Joshua Bartlett. Among those to offer their condolences was Grand Prairie Police Detective Abigail Thomas.
My first thought when I heard about it was, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to come support the community, the city of Lubbock and their police department, and represent a fallen officer. When one of our own is hurt or injured or killed, we are going to be there to support them no matter how far we have to drive.
Agencies driving in from Midlothian, El Paso, Oklahoma City, and Corpus Christi. All of them saying Bartlett left a legacy.
Andy Warhol said the idea is not to live forever, but to create something that will. And I think that pays huge tribute to Sergeant Bartlett and being able to talk to some of his teammates in his department that he's made that connection and made that's going to be carried on.
These visiting first responders say seeing this type of unity here in Lubbock is promising.
It's very encouraging to see the amount of people with flags and waving just the support. It's very refreshing, and that's what our communities need. That's what our country needs.
And no matter if the trip was from Garza County or Moore County,
we are here for you. We support you. I may not know you, but I feel your pain, and we're always going to be here for you and your family.
Brenda Lipinski, KLBK News.
And as Sergeant Bartlett's procession made its way over to Rest Haven Cemetery, hundreds lined up on Indiana and also on 19th Street to honor him in his ultimate sacrifice. Some folks we talked to out there say it was necessary to show their support during what's been not only a tough time for his family, but also for the entire Lubbock County Sheriff's Office.
And you know, God tells us that no greater love hath a man but to lay down his life for another. And that exactly exemplifies what Josh was. I think it's very important right now with the way our society is, that our law enforcement officers see that there's a community out here that support them. We back the blue. We're here for them. And I think it's important for them to see that.
And HEB partnered with Boots and Badges to feed first responders following the funeral. They tell us it's just their way to stay committed to supporting local law enforcement. And just hours after Sergeant Bartlett was laid to rest, a vigil held tonight in Levelland at the home where the last week's standoff actually happened. The South Plains College Police Force and the Levelland community all coming out to pay tribute to Bartlett, who was actually a graduate of South Plains Police Academy back in 2012.
The funeral may be done, but there are several ways to continue to help the families of the officers shot there in Levelland. Now, there is a GoFundMe to help Sergeant Bartlett's family in the coming months. We have a link to that website on our website at everythinglubbock.com. On Saturday, an Afterglow is holding a charity car wash to raise money for Bartlett's family, and at Prosperity Bank there in Levelland. Levelland PD has an account for medical expenses for Sergeant Wilson. And the Levelland Chamber of Commerce has the Back the Blue or Levelland Strong yard signs for sale. All those proceeds will head to Sergeant Wilson. There are also several t-shirts for sale with proceeds benefiting the families. We have more information on all the different ways that you can donate on our website, everythinglubbock.com.
And the man accused of killing Sergeant Bartlett has now been charged with federal crimes. 22-year-old Omar Soto Chavira had previously been charged with capital murder at the state level, but today federal prosecutors from the Northern District of Texas have now charged him with assaulting a federal officer. Right now, Soto Chavira is being held on a $500,000 bond, but if he were to post that bond, he would then be transferred to federal custody where he can be held without bond. In addition to the loss of Sergeant Bartlett, Levelland police officer Sergeant Sean Wilson was shot in the head, who underwent surgery and is now recovering from those injuries.
We're following some developing news tonight. One person is recovering in the hospital after a motorcycle crash in central Lubbock. Lubbock police responded to that wreck at 34th and Chicago, where they found one person with serious injuries. That person was rushed to UMC. Traffic was slowed down in the area for quite a while this evening, and of course, Lubbock police are still investigating what led up to the crash. So of course, stick with us right here on everythinglubbock.com for any updates.
And many are also mourning the loss of Lubbock Triathlon founder Mike Greer. He died this week at the age of 82 from some injuries he suffered in a motorcycle wreck back in June. Known all over the world, Mike was a competitor, coach, race director, mentor, author, and eventually served as president of the USA Triathlon. He founded the Buffalo Springs Lake Triathlon back in 1990, which over time eventually started attracting top triathlon competitors who then considered Lubbock the perfect place to train for the annual Ironman World Championships in Hawaii. A dear friend of us here at KLBK, we of course are sending our love and prayers to his wife Marty and their entire family. Services will be at 1 o'clock Monday afternoon over at Sanders Funeral Home.
More news to come here on KLBK. A mega fire out in the west. We'll have the latest on the firefighters' fight against that blaze.
Well, first, we check back in with the chief, Jake. While those showers are going to make their way into the metro area anytime soon?